What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. As always, very excited to have you here. Today, I wanted to share with you 5 things that I'm really excited to be learning in 2023. I think if you guys have followed my content at all for any period of time, you know what a big proponent I am of learning. How I think learning is it's the coolest thing about being a human. Truly, like the fact that when you're born, you know nothing. You can do nothing. The human baby is the most useless thing on the universe, besides its ability to bring, affection and love and feeling of fulfillment for the parents. Besides that, there's really nothing a baby can do. But you compare that to like a baby deer, and a baby deer comes out of its mom, and within a couple minutes, couple hours, it's up, it's running, it's doing all the things that a baby deer does. It can eat, it can jump, it can run, it can do all that stuff. And a baby human can't do that stuff, I don't know, for years. Like a deer is pretty self-sufficient after a couple days, whereas a baby human isn't self-sufficient until maybe ever, truthfully. But for me, it wasn't until I was like almost 30. But one of the things that's very different is the fact that a human baby has the ability to grow, to expand, to become so much more than what it is, because it starts as kind of like this blank slate, but its birthright to the universe is the fact that it can learn, it can adapt, it can do anything. And so the question then is, what are we using that most special of gifts for, right? And I think the problem for so many of us was that in school growing up, education was a bore. It was a chore. It was a thing that we had to do. It was almost like a prison. Like you have to go to school. You have to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to school and stay there. And then you got to come home and do homework. And what kind of world is that? I don't know. It's not any kind of world I want to live in. And so that's what we associate, the first 18 years of our life with, that type of learning. And so it's no wonder then that people get out of school and they're like, learning sucks. I don't want to do this. And in truth, like learning is the coolest thing ever. It's so gratifying. It's this feeling of like consuming knowledge. It's very edifying. That's a word. Very edifying. It feels very fulfilling. And I think as humans, when we're learning and growing and pursuing like new knowledge for the sake of curiosity or just for novelty's sake, like that's one of the highest pleasures a human can have. And so it's a shame that the school systems kind of beat this out of us, because I don't know about you, but by the time I got out of college, I was like, learning is not for me. Like I barely got through school. It wasn't until a number of years later that I started to realize like, no, I really love learning. It's just, I want to learn in my own way and learn on my own time, my own pace. And it reminds me a lot of what Jim Rohn said, which is that a formal education will make you a living, but a self-education will make you a fortune. And truly, the things that have made me the most money, not just money, but like that brought me the most fulfillment in life, were things that I taught myself, or I had to go out there and figure out on my own. And so I'm huge on learning. I think it's the coolest thing in the world, because if you're not where you want to be in life right now, but there is somebody else who has done the thing that you wish to do, then you just need to learn what they did and go do it. Like it's so simple. It's a simple formula. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to lead to fulfillment, right? This is where we get into the difference between the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. The science of achievement is simple. Like if you want to build a successful business, if you want to lose weight, awesome. Just follow this framework, do X, Y, Z in this order. You will achieve it. It's a science. It's a process. Fulfillment's so different though, because each human is different. And so the thing that brings you fulfillment is not necessarily what's going to bring me fulfillment, right? And you got to figure it out for yourself, because we also go through these seasons of life where maybe the thing that brought you fulfillment no longer does. For me, that was rock climbing. For a long time, rock climbing was my fulfillment. Now it's not. And that can leave you feeling a little bit rudderless in life. With all that said, I wanted to share with you 5 things that I'm really excited to be learning about more in 2023. These are things that are on my current, like I'm taking courses, I'm working with teachers, I'm working with coaches, I'm working in communities, like I'm working on every single day to get better at these 5 things. So number 1 is, I called this journal design, but really what it is, it's kind of product design. So I've written a lot of books, but I've never written a book that's designed to guide you through an experience like a workbook or a journal. There's a lot of visuals that are involved in this. There's a lot of thought and intention and consideration that needs to go in. It's very different than what I've typically done. But I have 2 journals in particular that I want to create this year. Number 1 is the hyperfocus journal, which is laying out everything that I know about hyperfocus productivity into a singular system that you can then have a journal to walk through. And the goal of this is to be a little bit different than other productivity planners out there on the market, where a lot of productivity planners, they will just throw all the concepts at you from day one and it's like, go. And it can be really overwhelming. I know it is for me. Like I have journals right now that I haven't dove into because they expect me to hit the ground running at 100 miles per hour. And I'm like, I don't understand the system and it feels overwhelming to learn it. So the goal of the hyperfocus journal is to guide you through over the course of 90 days, each week learning a new simple principle that then we bake in on top of what we've previously learned. And so by the end, you are demonstrably better. You've grown, you've learned. And so hopefully it makes the whole process of learning and becoming more productive easier to access and not become so overwhelming. And I'm really excited about that one. The other one is the decision journal, which is just a physical resource for helping people work through decisions, how to critically think and evaluate decisions so that we can become better, because your judgment is a superpower. And the more honed it is, the more accurate your judgment is, your ability to make good decisions, like you're going to do better in life. But there, in my experience, haven't really been a lot of resources out there to teach people how to make good decisions or how to evaluate the quality of their decisions, right? Like often we just make a decision, then we go about our life and we find out one way or the other if it was right or wrong, but we don't necessarily have a means for then evaluating why it was right or wrong and then how we can do better in the future. So those are two things I'm really excited about. So we're learning how to design journals, design physical products, and I'm hoping to have these out and about into the world by the end of 2023. So stay tuned for that. Number two thing that I'm really excited to be learning is graphic design, because it goes hand in hand with the physical journal, is this ability to design. I'm not designing the insides, but it's something I want to understand better. And I've done a lot of graphic design in the past for my businesses, for my personal brand. A lot of the stuff that you see is actually I've created myself, but it's something I want to be better at. Like I consider myself to be a very good writer and a very good storyteller. I do not consider myself to be a very good visual storyteller. So graphic design is a big part of that. And the third thing that I'm learning, which ties into this, is photography and videography. In fact, I actually just today, or yesterday rather, got this new fancy camera I'm really freaking geeked to play with. Now, you know, we have a YouTube channel, but the thing that you guys maybe don't realize is that I don't edit those. I have a fantastic editor that does all that. And I have a guy that I work with on the video side. So he comes, we do pictures, we do thumbnails, we do all that stuff. And I want to be more skilled in that area. I don't want to just rely on other people to do it. Not because I want to take it back and like not outsource it or like rely on partners or team members for this stuff, but I just want to be good at it. I want to be able to take a really good photo. I want to be able to take a really good video just on my own and have that skill, that ability to tell a visual story. And so that's another thing that I'm really excited to work on. And as I go through this stuff, guys, if any of this resonates with you or you've learned these things and you're like in the past and you have resources that you think could aid me in my journey, shoot me a message anywhere. Twitter is at Anthony Vicino. Instagram is the Anthony Vicino. Find me and ping me and send me those resources. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. The next thing that I'm learning is, what is this, number 4? Yeah, number 4 is public speaking. And this is one that I've been working on for the last 3 years. And it's a skill that I think there's constant room for improvement. I've been doing a lot of video work, obviously, over the last couple of years. You guys probably see me on YouTube. This podcast is an example of public speaking. However, this year, I'm trying really hard to get onto more stages, to give more keynotes, because I find that is an area that is very stressful and hard and scary for me. And so that indicates that that's the direction that I need to be moving to continue growing and progressing, right? We always move towards our fear, and that is where I have fear currently. So that's one of the things I'm going to be working on. I'm working with my buddy Renee Rodriguez, who is a fantastic public speaker, and hopefully I can just become a little bit better. So if you have any events or anything like that you're looking for a speaker, let me know. We'll see if we can make it happen. And the last thing that I'm learning this year, and it's a carry from last year, where I did my first year doing this, is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So last year, I started at the end of 2021. I got my blue belt right before the end of 2022, so like in September or October. And here we are. Right now, it's January of 2023. By the time you listen to this, it'll be a couple more months beyond this point in time. But this has been one of the most amazing activities. It's a lot of fun. It's very hard. It's very humbling. It's one of the best workouts, but it's also it makes you feel competent. It makes you feel like you have the ability to withstand the weight of the world, because there's something about jiu-jitsu and how much of a struggle there is. Like every moment, it's combat, right? Like, and that's just the thing that we don't get to experience very much in modern life anymore. Is like this, not life or death, but like this combat scenario. And I grew up doing martial arts, so I have a number of black belts in other disciplines, and I fought MMA back in my 20s, and so like I'm very well versed in the fighting arts. This is a new form for me. I never did grappling, and so this has been a very cool learning experience for me. But I do recommend anybody and everybody to pick up a combat sport. I think there is so much value in learning where your limits lie through an activity like this. So those are the 5 things that I'm learning this year, and I'm super excited to not master these things, but to become good enough, right? Like that's a different topic for a different day, but I'm curious to hear what you guys are working on this year. What are you excited to learn about? Do me a favor, leave a review for this podcast, and in that, tell me what you're learning, or find me on the social medias and shoot me a message and just let me know, like, what are you working on right now? Hit me, tag me, share it, whatever you got to do to get in front of me so I can see it, because I would love to join you in your journey. So as always, guys, I appreciate you being here. We'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay hyper-focused, my friend.